Hi, this is Seven, and I am uh, going to tell my dream, or my vision, rather, that I had last year, January the 11th, 2017, at 1:11 p.m. I'm doing this at the request of one of the channels that I subscribe to, Raptor News, and it's time. I have been holding this dream to, or this vision to myself, for the past year, waiting for the right time, waiting to start to doing videos again on my own channel, but everything happens in due season. And so I'm going to begin by telling you a little background about myself. Like many on YouTube who are sounding out the alarm of the coming of the Most High, I grew up believing that I was chosen or sent here. Like Rap said, when you're chosen and you're sent here, you caught hell, basically, most of your life. As a child, I was surrounded by angels. Many attempts by the fallen to take my life throughout my life, of course, in the form of human beings, or your own struggles or troubles that you're going through. I came up through Christianity, was a person who always asked questions, had my own mind. I've been reading since I was 2 years old. And so I knew to decipher things. I've always been a groupie of the Most High and not man. Even with the Jesus Christ, I always felt something was weird about that growing up in the church. How is it that we're putting the Son over the Father? And as you know, growing up in organized religion, when you start asking questions, you run into problems. When you fall outside of the status quo, you're going to have problems. So anyway, bringing things forward, when Ferguson happened, I was a resident of Ferguson, staying right there on the edge, and it affected me. I'm a disabled veteran. It affected me on deeper levels, not just because I'm melanated, but also because of my service. I felt a betrayal on a deeper level than many. Also being in the midst of sibling deaths. One had died prior to Ferguson, and my last sister, alive, living sister, she was on her deathbed. And so I had done everything that I could for that situation. And being one, as many on YouTube who had been sounding the alarm, even when I didn't know I was, with my novel that was based on a dream. I'm not going to get into that. And creating all of my social media accounts just to sound the alarm. I was attacked online. And like I said, the whole city just seemed to become a hotbed of demonic influence and whatnot. So I was coming apart, and the Most High instructed me to flee. And I did that via the VA. I went to an adjacent state, stayed in a VA facility for 9 months and got treatment. And so after that, I still wasn't ready to move back here, which I'm at now. I'm being led by the Most High. So at the instruction of my counselors and what have you, I went to a small town there, a college town, as a matter of fact. And so after finding an apartment, I moved again to another apartment on the other side of town, nice, that I could afford, surrounded by shops and whatnot, because I was secluded. I isolated myself. I didn't want to have anything to do with the political environment, the strife, the division, and what have you. You know, of course, you're not going to get totally away from that. But when you're somewhere where you don't know anybody, and you know, but it's a pretty friendly place. It was a good cover for me to just hide. And so in that, I was able to find refuge on social media with the awakening, with other voices and what have you. And one of those voices were Black Indians. And so immediately there, the Most High said, there is a connection there. So to get to the vision, one day I was sitting at my kitchen counter and I was smoking. You know, I had done pretty much everything to cleanse everything else out of my life, alcohol, what have you, but still struggling with that. And so I put the cigarette out, and a CD was playing, or a YouTube channel where I was listening to the Black indigenous music. And so I thought in my mind, okay, let me turn this corner, because of the way I had my living room set up. So let me turn this corner and get over here, you know. And before I could even finish that thought, I had jumped off the stool I was on. And then the Most High said, well, turn the corner then. You know, I went like that. I'm like, you know his voice. You know the distinction from your thoughts. It wasn't audible, but it was his voice. And so I had a big, pretty window. And right at the top corner of the window, I had a dream catcher that I'd made like 5 years ago, before even knowing about the Black Indians. Show you how the Most High worked. I had made it at a craft class at the VA. So anyway, it seemed like his voice was coming from that part of the window. It just, I don't know why, it seemed that way. So I just stood there. My body just went limp. You know, I understand now what the ancients and the prophets of old mean when they say the Most High, the Lord came, and it was as if I was a dead man. Well, that's what it was. It was as if my body said, hey, I'm out of here. So the sun, it was like 12 noon. And so I knew the sun was at the top of the house, right? But my eyes went to the center of the window, and all of a sudden it was just a glow. And I could see nothing but the glow. And so suddenly I saw the likeness of a man figure sitting on a throne. And it was still glowing. He was still glowing like the sun, like I was looking directly into the sun. But to me, I say to myself, he made it where I can look and my eyes not squint up. But I was totally in the spirit. And so it was a head, and it was just like this. His shoulders, he was sitting, and it was like he was sitting down. And his legs were together, but it was like a black line in between where his legs were. And he was buff. And so I'm like, and my body just immediately went like that. And I laid on the couch. You know how the Egyptian pharaohs are in a tomb? My body just immediately, on its own, I had no control. It was like my body just knew I'm done. And so being in the spirit, of course, I'm still seeing him. And then it was like he was just glowing and pulsating. And so it went from him to everything was glowing. He was gone at this point, but not, everything just turned into orange and glowing. And then I looked at that. Yeah, I looked down and I looked up, and everything was just an orange glow. And then I just looked to the right. Now, mind you, I'm on the couch laying down, but the living room, everything disappeared. And so I see two tall beings way up in the sky, and the sides of them looked like dominoes. It was like shaped like that and around, but the outer edges were like red fire, and the heads were round, and the heads were the same way, like flames, fire around the edges. And I looked at their faces temporarily, but I couldn't just stare at their face because it was just blank, like no expression, nothing. But I can't explain. It's not like they were mean looking. It was just a look I cannot define. Like, we're about business. And behind them was an ark. And the ark was kind of glowing, but not as much. But it was kind of like almost like some kind of gold. But you knew it was wood. But it wasn't shiny gold, now that I think about it. And I knew there were people inside. And I saw like little black windows, but not many. And it was something about the people that they weren't saying anything, and they were deathly quiet. And what I mean by deathly quiet, they were scared to death. But it was like I knew people that were in there, but I didn't see them. And so all of a sudden, it was like, by now it's like I'm floating in the vision, but my body is, I have no idea what my body is doing. I was still in this position, laying down now. And so it's like I floated ahead of the angels and the ark that they were guiding. And it was this gate, and it just opened up. But it was still like and kind of a glowy orangey, but it was as when this gate opened, everything seemed gold glowy. And it was like, it was a river, as if this ark was gonna go up this river, but it wasn't a bluish, like it was like purplish blue, but kind of turquoise, but dark. I can't really describe it. On this side was like, it was long, and I was looking at it from that way, and it seemed to me like it was gates just going all the way down, and I didn't bother to count or whatever, but that's what it seemed like. And then on this side, the left side, it was also gold, but it was a building, and it was I couldn't see the top, but I just knew this was some kind of gold structure on this side. Now this is the part that I wasn't expecting. Of course, I wasn't expecting this vision at all. This was like the second one I've had since I've been in that type of wilderness that I was in. But the next vision, y'all, totally got me. I mean, I was floating above, and I was coming down. And it was like I knew this door to the right was the throne room of the Most High. But it was this guy sitting, and he was facing me, but the door was like to his left, but it was on my right. But he was like sitting on this little bitty throne, going up about 7 or 12 stairs, and they were circular. Like at the bottom it was wider, and then it went up. And this is what got me, because I'm like, who is this? He had a man spread. And he was sitting up there kind of like this. So I looked at him, and I said, he got brown pants on? Because he had his legs open. And then I just, okay. And so it got closer and closer, and then he just got up and came down the stairs. I mean, this was like, what the heck am I looking at? So when he came down the stairs, apparently, he was walking now. So the garb that he had on had closed. And so it was like a cream color. And it had, you've seen a quilted type material that was maybe satin, but it had like gold embroidered things. That's how his apparel was. And he was big guy. He had to be 6 feet, 6'5". And so when I seen him, this really blew me. His hair were braids, like an Indian. But it looked like dude had dreadlocks, but he had a beautician. And so they came to here, right up here. And at the bottom were bands on each dread or each braid. But that's what it looked like. If you look at the old Western and you see the Indians and you see they, you know, their hair be long, but it come around, only his were braids. And they had a band. And he had a veil. He was veiled. So it's not like I could see in his eyes because I was floating above him. And his eyes, because he was doing something. He walked over to this pillar. It was a pillar and then a round thing on it, like the moon. And he had on, not a crown, but a hat like a priest would have on. And I think y'all know who it is. And it was like that. But probably came out to here, but it was like that. And he was veiled. And so he went to this object and picked it up. And then he turned around and then he took it into the throne room. The throne room door opened up and he went inside. That was YashaYah, aka Jesus. I didn't realize it until afterwards that that's who that was. And he looked like a priest. And so there's a little bit after that. He actually spoke to me. Jesus, YashaYah. That's what I am told, or I have been vibed to call him, YashaYah. And I've been vibed to call the Most High, AHhTRNL. So that's how I refer to them. And like I said, after that, he said something to me, and that was for me. But it was actually for the Hebrews and Black Hebrews, of course. And what he said, basically, when you sum it up, actually, he was telling me to step back because I had been prophesying, you know, on social media, whatnot, you know, just seeing the whole system, earth, go down the toilet, you know, doing no good, you know, being mocked, what have you. And this had been messing with, and see, people, I've been out here for a long time. This is, you know, but basically he told me, if I would sum it up, step back and let the men do it. And so that's where I'm at now. I'm at a place where I'm a writer, disabled veteran, and the Most High is like, it's time to take care of you in here, because even though I've been prophesying and whatnot, I'm still going to be judged like everybody else. And so now it's like, it's time for you to take care of you. And, you know, you can't reach them, those people who are destined to go to hell, because obviously this crap on this earth, in this world, is worth more to them than their salvation, their eternity. And so that's where I'm at. You know, I've narrowed down to like 4 people that I really pay attention to on YouTube, because throughout that time there, I was, I guess what my treatment called ruminating, you know, on social media and the awakening. That's all I did, because on that date, 1/11/2017, he told me to get rid of my TV, and I've not had a television since. But this computer can be just like it. But I've learned to control that with his guidance. So that's it with the vision that I had. And like I said, I did this at the request of Rap the News. And I thank you, brother, for prompting me to do this. It's time. I've gone through a lot. You know, as a female, messenger, I like to call myself. I don't like to use titles, but I am going to now start doing videos, because I know the avenue that I am to walk. Let those who carry the word carry the word. Those who are doing the warning, the calling out, even the camps. I know, what everybody, us in the awakening, has basically discerned. But the Most High told me that all of us is good for something, right? And the camps, they got the historical source documents of what our people have been through, and melanated people throughout the earth. So I love you all, and I would admonish you to take heed to that vision. Definitely in that vision, I know the difference between the Most High and his high priest. Shalom.